Ethrian. Chapter 1. The Whispering Pass. The wind crawled across the high ridges of Nordhelm like an old spirit searching for a home. Snowflakes drifted in slow spirals, pale and delicate, yet every one of them carried the weight of forgotten years. The world felt ancient, older than bone, older than blood. And somewhere beneath that silence, the mountains breathed. I am Thalor Graven, chronicler of the wandering ages, and this is the first page of Kyle Dornvar's fate. Kyle's boots sank into the frost-crusted path as he climbed toward the narrow mountain pass. The sky above him was dull steel, the kind that promised a storm before nightfall. A thin veil of mist clung to the rocks, whispering through the jagged cuts of the cliffs. He adjusted the straps of his worn leather armor and exhaled, watching his breath drift like a faint spirit. His fingers brushed the run-etched dagger at his belt, its handle wrapped in blackened hide, its blade forged with symbols he still could not read. The small weapon hummed faintly, as if restless. Not now, he muttered in his mind. Not today. The voices had been quieter these last few days. Perhaps the mountain cold smothered them, or perhaps the dead simply had nothing more to say. Kale tightened his cloak against the wind. The Whispering Pass lay ahead, a narrow corridor of stone that old hunters whispered about during long winter nights. Travelers swore the spirits of the lost echoed between its walls. Some said you could hear the voices of your future self. Others claimed the pass was alive, listening. Kyle had never believed in legends, but after what he had seen along the old border towns, after the burned cottages and the twisted, half-human corpses left in the forest snow, he was no longer sure what to believe. He paused as the mist thickened, blurring the world into a ghostly haze. A faint silhouette appeared ahead. Small, hunched, unmoving, Kyle's hand moved toward the dagger. But the shape didn't move. He approached carefully, boots crunching softly against the ice. When he reached the figure, he stopped. It was not a person. It was a stone shrine, old, cracked, covered in frost. A single candle stub rested on the ledge, long dead and half buried in snow. Strange lines were carved into the rock, not runic, not human, something older. Kyle brushed the snow away and the carvings revealed themselves, spirals and jagged claws etched in circular patterns. He swallowed. "They're multiplying," a voice echoed behind him. Kyle spun. A man stood in the mist, leaning on a frost-covered spear. He was middle-aged, wrapped in a tattered wool coat and heavy boots. His beard was gray and stiff with ice. A hunter, by the look of him. But Kale hadn't heard him approach. "Easy," the stranger said, lifting a gloved hand. "I didn't mean to startle you. You shouldn't sneak up on people in the Whispering Pass." Kale replied evenly, though his heart was still racing. The hunter let out a humorless chuckle. "If I was sneaking, boy, you'd already be bleeding." Kyle didn't react. He'd heard the same bravado from mercenaries in taverns, but those men rarely had eyes like this hunter. Sharp, weary, the eyes of someone who had seen things that left scars on the soul, not the skin. The stranger nodded toward the shrine. "You're looking at an echo mark. They've been appearing farther south every week." Kale studied the carvings again. "I haven't seen this symbol before." "You wouldn't. They're not meant for your eyes." The man tightened his grip on the spear. "They're meant for other things." Kyle frowned. "What kind of things?" The hunter opened his mouth to answer. And then everything went quiet. Not silent, quiet. The kind of quiet that feels wrong, like the world holding its breath. The mist around them thickened suddenly, folding into the pass like rolling smoke. The sky darkened, and a low vibration pulsed through the stone beneath their feet. Kyle felt the dagger hum at his belt, the runic lines awakening. The voices stirred. Kyle! Kyle! His jaw clenched. Not now. The hunter tensed. You hear it, too. Kyle didn't answer. He reached slowly for his sword. A shape moved in the mist. Then another. Then 3 more. They were low to the ground, fast, crawling shapes that shifted unnaturally, their limbs bending at angles no creature should have. The hunter cursed under his breath. Shadeborn! Kyle's heartbeat quickened. I thought those were just old tales. Then you're about to learn the truth the hard way. The first Shadeborn lunged from the fog, a creature of twisted bone and sinew, its skin stretched thin like wet parchment. Hollow eye sockets leaked black mist. Its claws glowed faintly with sickly light. Kyle drew his blade in one smooth motion. The steel caught the creature mid-leap, cutting deep across its torso. The Shadeborn shrieked, a sharp metallic sound, and dissolved into dark mist. 2 more burst from the fog. The hunter swung his spear with brutal efficiency, driving it through one creature's head. The second jumped at Kale from the side, but he spun and slashed downward, severing its arm, before stabbing through its chest. But more shapes were forming, crawling along the stone walls, clinging to the frost like living shadows. There's too many! The hunter shouted. Kyle knew he was right. They needed higher ground, or an exit. But the pass was narrow, and the mist had swallowed everything beyond a few meters. They were trapped. A deep rumble echoed from the cliffs above. Snow fell in thin streams. The Shadeborn froze, turning their hollow gazes upward. Kyle felt it before he saw it. The pulse of ancient power, like a heartbeat buried in stone. Then the mountain wall behind the shrine cracked. Light poured from the fissure, cold, blue, unnatural. The shrine symbols began to glow. Kale shielded his eyes as the shrine burst open, revealing a hidden passage descending deep into the mountain. The Shadeborn hissed, retreating from the light. The hunter stared at the opening in disbelief. That wasn't there yesterday. Kale met his eyes. We have 2 choices. Stay here and die. He pointed toward the glowing passage, or find out what lies down there. The hunter hesitated only a moment. Damn it! I hate caves. Kyle allowed a faint smile. You'll hate what's behind us more. More shrieks echoed through the mist. Shadeborn claws scraped across the stone. Kyle stepped into the new passage first, gripping his blade tightly. The blue light illuminated ancient carvings on the walls, stories of winged beasts, falling stars, and a great rift tearing open the sky. The hunter followed quickly, sealing the entry behind them by pulling down part of the shrine's broken arch. The moment they were inside, the voices in Kale's head faded again. Silence. Pure, heavy silence. The corridor sloped downward, deeper and deeper into the mountain. The air grew warmer, tinged with the scent of dust and forgotten ages. After several minutes, the hunter finally spoke. I never got your name. Kyle, he answered quietly. Kyle Dawnvar. The man grunted. Hadric Stonevale. And before you ask, no, I don't know where we're going. Kyle ran his hand along the glowing wall symbols. Somewhere that's been sealed for a long time. Centuries, Hadric muttered. Maybe longer. They continued deeper until the tunnel widened into a vast chamber. The ceiling stretched high above them, lost in darkness. In the center of the chamber stood an enormous stone monolith, covered in the same spiral symbols as the shrine. But this one pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. Hadric swallowed. What do you think it is? Kyle approached slowly, mesmerized. A lock. A lock? Hadric asked. For what? Kyle touched the stone, and the carvings lit bright blue. A shockwave of cold energy blasted through the chamber. Visions flooded Cale's mind. A sky splitting open, a monstrous shadow emerging, cities burning under black fire, and an echoing voice, ancient and cold. The rift returns, rift-born child! Kyle staggered backward, gasping. His heart pounded wildly. Hadric grabbed him. Kyle! What happened? Kyle tried to speak, but the words trembled from his lips. We shouldn't have opened it. The monolith cracked, and something began to wake.